He's Isaac Trotter. And you know what time it is? It's time for the madness. It's almost bubble time. And I'll tell you what, Trotter, I know everybody talks about March Madness, but I think these 2 weeks, like the 2.5 weeks leading up to Selection Sunday, which is where we are now, are some of the most exciting weeks in all of sports of the season. Because this is the cinema and the drama leading up to Selection Sunday, which is almost just as good as the tournament itself. So on this show, we are going to be breaking down some of the most prominent college basketball programs that are firmly on that bubble going across pretty much each of the high major conferences. So let's take a look at some of the teams we're going to be talking about. There's going to be 7 in total in the SEC. We're going to start with Texas. We're going to go to Arkansas. And in the ACC, North Carolina is surging. Got Wake Forest in the ACC as well. Big 12, we've got West Virginia. And then in the Big East, we're going to talk about Xavier. And then in the Big 10, Indiana, with the pair of wins over nationally ranked opponents. We're going to talk about them as well. So let's first start with John Calipari, because let's just face it, Trotter. The NCAA tournament is more entertaining when Cal is in it. Take a look at their resume right now. They're 16-11, number 39 in the net. They have the 14th overall strength of schedule in the country. 4-9 versus Quad 1. Get a look at their best wins, their best losses. I'll tell you what, I think LSU is playing spoiler to more than one. Now, I will tell you they are also 40th in KenPom. Jerry Palm currently has them in the last 4 in, but that was only after they came up with that huge win over Mizzou. They've got 4 regular season games remaining. 2 of them are against other teams on the bubble, with Texas coming up on Wednesday, and then a road trip to South Carolina, and Vandy, their last home game, is against Mississippi State. What do you think they need to do over these 4 games, and then in the SEC tournament to get to the field of 68?
I'm thinking 3 wins. Does that sound right? Like a 3-1 to end the regular season. I think you're probably feeling pretty good about themselves. And if I'm one of those 6 seeds, I'm not super thrilled or fired up to be potentially seeing this team if they were on the 11 line. I was looking this up. Like in the first 2 months of the season, they're top 30 defense. In the second 2 months of the season, they're a top 20 defense. Like we have a 4-month sample size of them guarding. And so the personnel has changed, and we've gotten your Cal jokes in, but this group has a chance to make the tournament if they go 3-1 down the stretch here in this regular season. The bubble is also pretty weak, which helps, their case a little bit. And they're in the toughest league in college basketball, which has helped them kind of boost up some of those quad 1 opportunities. I think 3-1 gets the job done. And then we're talking about Arkansas is like, man, do you really have fun with this? Like, this is a team that maybe is one of the top 20 to 25 teams talent wise in the country. And you get them in the first round if you're a 6 seed.
Yeah, I agree. I think they control their own destiny here, because Vandy and Texas, although they are not like the high profile wins, they are equal bubble teams. So I think the head to head might be relevant. Trotter, let me ask you about what we've seen in terms of just style of play, whether it's the usage ratios or lineup construction from them that has made the difference. First, I want to pick up on your point, because I do think everybody does make their Cal jokes, but one of the things you can't joke about is this guy's always been a really good coach on the defensive end of the floor. His teams have almost always guarded. And I think what we've seen this year is they've evolved offensively. They've evolved with the way they've constructed their lineups. They've evolved with their usage. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, Boogie Flan goes out, and I think a big talking point is, Nelly Davis gets more run. But I think the biggest change is getting Zvonimir Ivisic on the floor more, and has really, kind of transformed their team, because for the most part, the data will tell you that Arkansas's half-court offense was pretty putrid for a while. They were basically only scoring in transition, and it was a slog in the half court. And now with Ivisic kind of taking over the reins as the starting stretch 5, it's really added a different dimension to this group as that pick and pop threat. I think he's their best shooter on the roster, which is kind of saying something, like what they've had. And he's really talented and really skilled. You look kind of through college basketball, there's not many 7-footers that can shoot like him, and the kind of the stress that he brings to opposing defenses. So for the most part, I think he's really revamped this team. It's kind of added space for the drives, right, from Janelle Davis, who's starting to play like a different type of player, and the player that they kind of expected. And then Adou Thiero, right, as well. A little bit more space for him. DJ Wagner getting more space to drive downhill. It's just all worked. And Carter Knox, I think, is an underrated part about this too. Knox's ability to get on the floor as well has really helped them. He's been on a heater lately and looks like one of the better freshmen in the SEC.
I said this on CBS Sports HQ over the weekend. This to me is the Zvonimir Ivisic that we were promised last year at Kentucky. You know, the 7-footer who can both stretch the floor and protect the rim. And to that end, he has become the first player in Arkansas history to make 43s and block 50 shots in a season. He's also scored 20 plus points 3 times this season, and it has come in the last 5 games. Last 2 wins in particular, he has been over 20 points. So I think to your point, as he has emerged, they have gotten better. I think it's helped them specifically on the offensive end of the floor when the game slows down, because he does provide that spacing, which was sometimes harder to find earlier in the season. And then when you look at the kinds of shots he's making some like short movement threes. He had a wrong-footed 3 against LSU. His hands are phenomenal. He's still got to get a little stronger, but he's emerging. And as I said, I think NBA scouts are liking what they're seeing. And this is what was promised last year at Kentucky.